There are three settings inside Google Ads that, when left on, will likely drain your budget. And these are things I often see in accounts that we take on. Now, you've probably heard of the first two, but the third is a lot newer and very conveniently hidden because it seems like Google is trying to take away control over how our ads are displayed, and us as advertisers that know our market better than anybody else wants to retain as much control as possible, especially nowadays with the more automated everything's getting. Now, the first one of these is inside campaign settings itself. And by the way, in campaign settings, there's a lot of obvious mistakes that you don't want to make. For example, having your search partners and display network turned on. And I have a completely separate video that goes into detail on each of the campaign settings individually and all the mistakes you could be making within the campaign settings tab itself. So feel free to check that out after this video. But one mistake that a lot of people are aware of but forget to actually implement is under location options. When you're setting up your location targeting, you obviously enter in the locations that you want to target, but most people forget to go under location options here and change this from presence or interest, which is going to be selected by default, to presence. Because when you have presence or interest selected, if people have ever searched for the location that you're based in on Google enough times, then Google will just show your ads to people outside your target location just because somebody's shown interest in your actual location without being based there. So you just want to make sure, first of all, that you have presence selected here, and is a really easy one to forget when setting up your campaign because this isn't going to be visible to you when going through the campaign creation process. The second one then is under recommendations. So not just recommendations itself, where in your recommendations tab, you just need to keep updating your optimization score up to 100% by dismissing anything that's irrelevant to what you offer here. So, for example, you'll always get recommendations to either make a performance max campaign or add broad match keywords, and you want to just dismiss these for the most part. So that way, then your campaign optimization score will be back to 100%. But the one thing you need to watch out for is you want to go to all campaigns and then go to auto apply. And one mistake I see quite often is that there are some of these recommendations selected, and when it comes to auto apply recommendations, there aren't any that I'd recommend having unless you want to use, for example, optimized ad rotation. But the vast majority of these auto apply recommendations here would be handing over control to how your campaigns are structured overall, especially these recommendations down here. For example, adding in new keywords, adding broad match keywords. This is basically taking complete control away from how your campaign is managed, especially if you allow your bidding strategies to be updated as well as you go. Because if you're managing the campaign yourself, you likely know what the most appropriate bidding strategy is depending on where you're at, and also the most suitable keywords to be targeting as well. Because if you're being recommended different keywords to use and you look at those recommendations, the chances are a lot of them aren't going to be fully relevant to the service that you offer. So that's why you want to make sure that there aren't any auto apply recommendations selected. And the third one, then, which has become a lot more prevalent only over the last few months, is you can stay in all campaigns here and go to assets. And when you're inside your assets tab, then what you want to do here is go to more with the three dots and go to account level automated assets. And then you want to press the three dots and more again and go to advanced settings. So you can see here that this setting is quite hidden, and what they are account level automated assets, meaning that Google can create any of these assets on your behalf. But when you're going through the campaign creation process and optimizing your assets, I always recommend making your own because you know, for example, what site links, call outs, structured snippets, and everything else are likely to perform best. And while in some cases it can be useful to have these assets made for you, the chances are is that if you select your own images and make your own site links, that you're going to be able to do a better job than the ones that are automatically going to be generated by Google. So one thing I'd recommend you do is that if you haven't done this already, you're going to notice that all of these are actually going to be set to on by default. And what you want to do under this tab here is just go and turn them all off. But what you want to do then when you do that is make sure that you've actually added in all of your assets yourself, because you do want to use as many assets as possible, but not those that are automatically generated on your behalf. So I hope this video helped and gave you a reminder of some of the mistakes that are most easily made when setting up and managing a Google Ads campaign. But if you do have any questions about any of these mistakes, or other campaign setting mistakes, or whether you should choose one setting over another, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you are a service-based business looking to have your campaigns set up and managed for you, feel free to have a look at the link in the description. Or if you are managing your own campaigns or running campaigns for other service-based businesses, feel free to have a look at the videos that should appear on the screen now that contain separate videos of each of the individual steps in setting up and managing a Google Ads campaign from start to finish.